So I was convinced I was going to be a sports journalist because I love to write and I love sports, and I'm Dutch, so I like free things. So being able to write about sports and get free tickets seemed like a good deal. And so I was going to Ryerson University, studying journalism. And then during that year, I sensed the Lord was calling me to the pastorate. And so I left my program and started a 4-year degree in religious studies to prepare for seminary.
Before seminary, I was working at a oil company and a driving truck. My goal was to go into ministry of some sort. I didn't know if that would be a pastoral ministry. I was thinking about maybe doing counseling. So that's why I headed out to Westminster in California.
It seemed like a huge change, and it seemed like a lot of time because I knew it was going to be a 4-year undergrad degree and then at least 4 years of seminary. And so trying to figure out how that time would work, but also how I would finance 8 years of school seemed like a pretty daunting challenge at the time.
I think the typical seminary student faces the issues that most young couples face if they're married, or single. It's pretty typical life. The added pressure of really high grade theological study with all the reading and writing that goes in with that, and then with work and finances. So there's a lot of pressure. The biggest financial struggle that's associated with school, obviously, is that it's expensive to take the classes. You're living away from home, so you don't have really family support much with that. So everything's expensive, and you don't have the time to work. So the financial struggles are real. I was just talking to someone from Westminster Seminary in California, and not all students take out loans. But the students that do, the average debt load coming out of seminary is around $50,000. That would be on top of any debt load that you had coming out of your undergraduate.
So I had already made the commitment to start at Tyndale University College and Seminary in Toronto, and I had told some friends that was the case. I had left Ryerson, and I was working in a Christian bookstore. And one day a family friend came in, and they mentioned they'd heard about my decision to go into the ministry, and they wanted to support me in that. So I was very glad to hear that, and that they thought that this was a good direction to be going in. And then it was probably a couple weeks later, I came back from a church weekend away, and they had dropped off a card and a check, and I opened up the card, saw the check, and the check was enough to cover most of my undergraduate degree, which was incredible. And so I tell people I'm not a crier, but I started to cry then because I was just so overwhelmed by the Lord's provision.
The benefit of having your home church support you is both spiritual, emotional, and obviously financial. But to know that people back home are praying for you and haven't forgotten about you and are behind you in the sense that they believe in you and they're willing to even financially support that, that's a huge motivator because you doubt yourself. Seminary can be hard, and you're not really engaged in ministry per se. You're just doing a lot of studying, so you're not getting much affirmation back except for your grades, and sometimes that's not much. So to have your home church know about you, pray for you, and support you is just a tremendous encouragement.
A man might be tempted to take a call that's not a great fit because he sees his debt, he feels family obligations that are rightly there, and so he gravitates towards maybe a more financially secure position that in the long run isn't going to be a good fit between him and the church.
The greatest needs the church always has is men who are well equipped to fill pulpits and to preach and lead churches. So the church stands to lose a great deal if we're not doing all that we can to encourage young men and then supporting them so they're able to do their studies and come out well prepared for pastoral ministry.
The Seminary Student Fund is an investment in long-term church growth. The pastors that we need for churches in the future may even be sitting among us today. And I see the financial commitment to the Seminary Student Fund as supporting pastors, qualified pastors, to fill those pulpits and those churches.
The ideal situation for us, for the church and the seminary student, is a young man that's been identified by the church, encouraged to go to seminary, and that means financial encouragement as well, supported with prayer, in keeping in contact with his home church. But the ideal, what a success story would look like, is a young man who has been then through that process, well supported, well prepared. The church has really spoken into his life, into his ministry, and now he's really ready to speak to the church the Word of God.
Supporting the fund today is an important step in supporting gospel ministry into the future.